And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Liguria, which has kind of a nice cover here. And then I saw that the game involved little ships that are going to move cubes back and forth with tiles and cards. And I gotta be honest, it did not look that appetizing. But it is a Queen game, and you never know with a Queen game. There's some Queen games that aren't that fantastic, but there's also some very good ones. So I was I thought it was a good, I don't know. Let's just look at it and see. Hopefully it's better than the game looks. In this game, players have their own harbor, which is your player board, and then you have several islands that are placed in between them. Each of these islands is randomly given a certain number of points. Players have some cubes that are in their harbor. These are cubes other players can pick up. They have a boat that's going to go around and pick up cubes from other people's islands and bring them back to their own. Players have a shield that's built out of 3 parts where they're going to keep all their stuff behind, but they also have a board. Now, the way this game takes place is, the most of it is going to take place on this board here. At the beginning of each round, you're going to draw tiles, and you're going to randomly place these tiles out on this board here. And you'll notice there's all sorts of different tiles. Some of these tiles are ways to score points at the end of the game. Some of these tiles are ways that players can take extra actions as time goes by. But all these tiles are going to give different benefits. And you're going to place these out here. You're also going to put out some cards here. And you'll notice there's fewer cards if there is 3 players rather than 4. So there's a turn order placed here. And each round, whoever's first is going to pick one of these spots here. There are 2 numbers on these spots. Well, there's possible 2 numbers. The number here is how many tiles you're going to get. So I might go here. I'll take only 1 tile. But I'm going to pick before other people. I might go here for 5. And there's also a coin on some of the tiles, so I might go here and immediately take 2 coins. Green goes here, purple takes 5, gray wants to go first, so he goes there. So what happens is gray would go first, they take a coin, they would move here, and they would take any 2 adjacent tiles. So maybe they want these 2. All right, they'll take those 2 tiles, and everything gets slid down. And then orange also gets 2 tiles, and so they take these first 2 tiles. And then once again, everything slides down. Green's going to get 3 tiles. Green wants this tile, and this tile. They don't want this tile, so they're going to skip it. They have to pay a coin for each tile that they skip. And then purple is going to get 5 tiles. So purple says they want these 4, but they also want this 1. So they're skipping 2. They would pay a coin. Also, after you are done picking tiles, players are then going to pick a card. And these cards are going to give them a certain number of kind of how prestigious they have acted over the course of the game. And this is going to matter at the end because you definitely want these, when they're added together, to give you a positive number. It's going to let you know how far you can move, what cubes are placed in front of you. This is not necessarily a positive thing. It helps other players. So each player is going to take a card. When you take a card, it's going to tell you how far your ship can move. So if I take this card, my ship can move 2 spaces, plus 1 space for each of these tiles that I've gotten. So for example, if I have this tile in front of me, and the one I start the game with, that's 3 plus these 2 here, my ship can move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now when your ship moves, it must keep going unless you have a U-turn. Then if you're at an island, you can go the other direction. If you stop at a harbor, you can also turn around and go somewhere else. And you can always go fewer spaces than you plan to. If it shows an anchor on your tile, when your ship moves, your ship can try to take over an island. If you have any knights behind your screen, you can drop them off on the island, putting a marker of your color on top of those, and you're going to get a cube of that island's color. Each island starts with a cube color. This one here is yellow for each tile you place. And in the future, when you stop there, you'll always get a yellow cube. Some knights will produce an extra cube if you leave them on an island. Somebody else can take this island away from you if they stop there later on by simply placing more knights there than you put on that island. Many of the cards also have arrows on them. Now as the game goes by, players are going to be keeping buildings and stats in front of them. This tile here shows how many cubes your ship can have. So as time goes by, you're going to add more of these here and be able to carry more cubes. But when you upgrade the tile, you'll turn it over. It's going to be worth 3 points at the end of the game, but you can carry less cubes. This one here, I can upgrade, and it's going to be 2 points at the end of the game, but it's going to be, I can move fewer spots. This one here gives you 1 positive point, but if I upgrade it, it's going to give me 2 and 2 victory points at the end of the game. And there are some buildings, like this building here, which is a measly 1 point, but when I upgrade it, it now becomes 5 points. Players, if they land in someone else's harbor, can also drop off diplomats. At the end of the game, they're going to get 2 points for each tile in that row wherever they drop off the diplomat. Again, putting one of their tokens on top of it. The first person to put a diplomat only needs 1 scroll. The next person needs 2 scrolls, etc. And that's pretty much the whole game. You're going to go around, pick up cubes at other people's spots. Cubes are going to show up. You're going to pick up cubes from islands. You're going to bring them back, drop them off at your own base. The reason you drop cubes off is because you'll be taking these tiles. This tile is like 7 points at the end of the game if you have 3 blue cubes and a yellow cube to go with it. So you're going to be trying to accomplish certain goals with these cubes here. 2 yellows, a blue, and a red becomes 5 points at the end of the game. And even a set of red, yellow, and blue is worth 3 points. So at the end of the game, after 8 or 9 rounds, players are going to count up all their points from the different tiles they have. They're going to also add their positive versus negative numbers on all the cards that they've taken. And if they're positive or equal, they're fine. But if they are negative at the end of the game, they will lose 5 points for each negative point that they are on that scale. So you don't want to be negative because you can lose a lot of points. And that's how you play. There are some aspects of the game that I find okay, right? The cubes and moving the cubes back, it's okay. Moving the ships around. But what I really like is drafting those tiles. I almost wish you could take the ship part and just throw that in the corner somewhere. I really like how drafting tiles upgrades your ship. Okay, I guess you need the ship for that to work. But I like how you take some to upgrade your ship. You'll take some knights and diplomats. You want the buildings because the buildings turn into points. You want the monasteries because they help positive you out. Those cards, as you take those, some cards give you the ability to upgrade things, but you don't want to take too many negative cards because you're going to have a hard time recovering from that point-wise. And that whole drafting thing, do you want to go first? You get any tile you want, but you get 1. I don't want that. But if you take 5 tiles, you're last, and all the tiles you might want may have been taken by other people. And then the money aspect, you have that money, and the money is really only used when you're splitting your group of tiles. But I don't know, I just felt like there were so many different options, it was like a playground there as you draft the tiles and the card. And that concept itself, the core of the game, that makes the game worth playing. I enjoy that. It is not a pretty game. It just looks very generic. And picking up the cubes and turning them in to get points is very generic. And the theme, I don't even know what the theme is. I don't even care what the theme is. The components, nah. You know, it's like, And unfortunately, I think the game could, if that cool mechanism had been put with a cool theme and it'd be like, wow, this game's amazing. As it is, it's good. It's a decent game. I like it. I love the play there. I find that fascinating. As in, you're sitting there and you're kind of like chewing your nails a little bit over, do I want to go first or do I want more tiles? And then when I do take tiles, do I want to make my ship faster? That seems like a useful thing to do, to go pick up cubes and bring them back. Do I increase that as the game goes by? When do I switch the speed of my ship and how much my ship can carry to points? Do I ever do that? Is it worth doing? Do I want to take that -5 card? It lets me do a lot of cool things, but now I need to take some positive cards, which aren't nearly as useful to balance that out. That is neat. It's a great core mechanism. I'd love to see someone take that and use it in another game. It could have elevated this game to greatness. As it is, it's some pretty neat stuff that does elevate it rather than being blah. It's good. So it's an interesting number of players here, 3 or 4 players. I think the game works equally fine with both of them. We did make a lot of jokes. Apparently, you're picking up paint cubes and moving them around. Seems like a very thriving paint industry. But hey, I'd like to see maybe the successor to this game. That game could be truly great. Like I said, but decent. I would try it out. If you think that whole drafting thing is fascinating like I do, you'll probably like it. If that doesn't do it for you, then there's really nothing else to recommend about it. So that's Liguria. Dice Tower Judgment approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
Yeah?